Today I closed two winning trades, even though they still had almost 3 weeks left until expiration. Most people would probably ask, why not just hold them and make more money? Well, this week we got major earnings and FOMC meeting. So instead of squeezing out a little more premium, I decided to reduce my risk, lock in my profits, and redeploy that capital into 5 brand new positions. Let me show you what I did. So today was actually a pretty quiet day. I realized $29 in profit. I closed one XSP put trade for about $7 and another XSP position for $22. Now, I know those aren't huge profits, but there was a reason I closed them. One of the rules I follow is pretty simple. If I capture around 50% of the maximum profit, I'll usually close the trade. Or if the position goes down to around 21 days until expiration, I'll also look to close it. These trades hadn't reached 50% yet. They were only around 7 to 9% profitable, but they were getting close to the 21-day mark. And with the earnings this week plus Fed meeting, I didn't think it was worth keeping that risk on just to collect a little more premium. So I logged in the gains, freed up the buying power, and moved on. Then I opened three new QQQ put credit spreads and two new XSP put credit spreads, all expiring in September. So basically, I took money out of older trades and put into newer trades with more time until expiration. Since I trade put credit spreads almost every day, I figured I would quickly explain how I decide when to enter and exit these trades. A put credit spread is a bullish option strategy, so I'm basically saying I believe the ETF will stay above my short strike by expiration. I collect premium upfront and that's the most I can make on the trade. My risk is also defined because I buy a lower strike put for protection. For entries, I'm usually looking for trades with around 30 to 45 days until expiration. I generally sell a strike that's somewhere around the 20 delta because it gives me a reasonable probability of success while collecting decent premium. Then once I'm in the trade, I really only have a few rules. If I can capture around 50% of the premium, I'll usually take the profit. If the trade goes down to around 21 days until expiration, I will often close it even if it hasn't reached my 50% target because I want to avoid taking unnecessary risk for a relatively small amount of remaining premium. And if the trade moves against me, I just don't sit there hoping. I'll either reduce the position, roll it if it still makes sense, or simply accept the loss if my original thesis is no longer valid. The biggest thing I learned is that risk management matters a lot more than trying to squeeze every lost dollar out of every trade. So yeah, pretty quiet day overall. Nothing exciting, but honestly, those are the kind of days I like. Small profits, sticking to the plan, reducing risk, and putting the capital back to work. Now we'll see what this week brings in with earnings and the Fed meeting. As always, I'll keep posting these daily portfolio updates so you can follow along with every trade I make. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in tomorrow's update.